Temperature about right? You too cold, too hot?
I felt great.
All good. Okay. Welcome back to the Man Cave Caucus podcast. I'm your host, Ben Baker. Tim Holden is the co-host here on this hodgepodge of a podcast. And Detective Joel Mace is our full-time, part-time, full-time Googler, whatever else we throw at him. Although, I will say, Tim, this week, the pleather couch is looking very vacant.
You remember on the Christmas story? Or the Christmas Carol, I see a couch.
Yes.
I see a couch.
Where is Joel?
He is just frittering about. He went to some festival or something.
Somewhere in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Did it have to do with the barbecue stuff, or?
I think so. He texted.
I can't remember. I can't remember. But it's just not acceptable, you know?
Mm-mm. Oh, the Arkansas Derby.
Okay. Like
60,000 people. I'm guessing a horse race, right?
Okay, a horse race. Yeah, there is one in Arkansas. I forgot about that.
Yeah. He went to the horse race.
So Joel's at the horse race, and, it's not that the show can't go on, Tim, because we're here.
You gotta soldier
It's
on.
really just the fact that it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's just not fair that Joel gets to do all the fun things. And I feel a bit of envy and a little bitterness.
Yeah.
Starting to take some deep root,
It's
in
normal.
my soul.
It's normal.
You feeling that too?
I'd never admit I don't trying not to feel any way about it, but he definitely lives more than most.
For sure. Oh, so yeah. I mean, and so we apologize ahead of time for all the things Tim will probably,
I was spent the day brushing up on facts that are not
that will go
facts.
Completely unchecked. Tim, this is your time. This is your time to shine.
I think I have a 2-week window of spewing absolute malarkey.
Completely unrestrained.
Over the airwaves.
From any anchor to what we would call
unchecked.
The facts. What we like to call the facts. So you got a hall pass this week, Tim. First up on the agenda for the show today, March the 28th, a powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck central Myanmar with its epicenter located 16 kilometers northwest of Sagaing. I just took a shot at that. I'm not sure exactly how you say that.
Sounds good to me.
It's near the city of Mandalay. But the quake occurred at a shallow depth of about 10 kilometers, which they say amplified its destructive impact. A 6.4 magnitude aftershock followed that about 12 minutes later. So as of March the 29th, the death toll in Myanmar reached 1,644, with over 3,400 injured that they know so far. According to the military government there, though estimates suggest it could climb higher, potentially exceeding even 10,000 people. Per the U.S. Geological Survey. So definitely our thoughts and prayers are with the people there in Myanmar. I know you have family that are in Thailand. So
they spent 3 years in Yangon, and then they had a civil war. They had to get out of Dodge. But yeah, I was when I heard about it, hadn't heard from them yet, and was like, man, I know they're in Thailand, but they're good. So
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad they're okay. There was a high rise. We're going to play some of these videos in just a second, but it's unbelievable looking at some of this footage. There was a high rise that was under construction. Did you see some of that? We'll play some of the video, but this is in Bangkok. It collapsed, killing at least 9 people, leaving dozens missing. As the workers were working on this, a crane falls off the building. We're going to show some footage of that. And the earthquake caused, just widespread damage, toppling buildings, buckling roads, collapsing bridges all across Myanmar, with tremors that were felt in Thailand, southwest China, and Laos. The quake resulted from, they say, from strike slip faulting along the Sangyong Fault, where the India and Eurasia tectonic plates slid past each other, is what caused it. So experts speculate its severity was heightened because of the way that it occurred in that seismic gap, a section of the fault overdue for rupture, potentially linked to the 1839 Ava earthquake. The shallow depth and the poor building standards in this region likely worsened the destruction, with Bangkok's soft soil as well playing a part of that, amplifying the distant seismic waves, contributing to the skyscraper collapse. Aftershocks remained a concern for a period of time, and even still yet, complicating rescue efforts amid that civil war that you're talking about, Myanmar's ongoing civil war and restricted information flow. There's just a lot of factors that figure into this just absolute awful earthquake that has taken place, and tragedy, with so many people injured and so many people who have lost their lives. Here's a few of the live footage of what this looks like. It's just unbelievable. You'll see here, this is the building that has a crane attached. And if you'll notice, there's a person that was in that crane too that flew out. It's just unbelievable. See these buildings rocking back and forth.
Holy cow.
Look at this. This is on the freeway.
Looks like they're on a bridge. Oh, is that a pool?
Yeah, so there's several rooftop pools.
Oh.
That's the one that was under construction there. Again, another shot of it here. Reminds you so much of the 9/11 footage.
Yeah.
Just crazy stuff, man. I've never seen anything quite like it. That's the only thing I could compare it to of what I have seen is the 9/11 footage that I remember. Here's some others.
Crazy how the birds reacted.
The rooftop pools, man, is the one that was just, it's unbelievable watching this. Watch how this, I just can't imagine being in one of these pools at the top of a skyscraper and this starting to happen. This dude's just sitting there.
I would be getting as fur.
What the fuck? Mate, what the fuck? Mate. Look, stand up, look.
You see the footage of this from the ground and the water coming off.
Yeah,
it's just
I would
unbelievable.
not be in that pool.
Here's another one, I think, of the, I think this is the construction. this is the building that was under construction again. Saw that one already. I think there's one where it shows this guy. Oh, here's another rooftop pool. Look at this. After seeing this, I don't think I could ever.
They don't seem very cool anymore.
I don't think I could ever be at ease. You know what I mean? I just don't. Like, I think there's one too. Have you seen the one video of the two skyscrapers and there's a connecting bridge that is it's all glass and it's a pool.
I have
and
not.
It's connecting two skyscrapers. I don't think it was in this setting.
Yeah.
But they were playing footage of it because there was one of these skyscrapers that was connected with a sky bridge, and they both rocked back and forth, and it broke that sky bridge apart. But I just, I can't imagine if it was like if it was an actual pool, right? So here's another one. I think this is the one where it's got the guy. Yeah. Look at this, man. This guy is on the side of this building, I assume, washing the windows. And watch this, man. Dude is hanging there as this water from that pool starts coming down. I cannot imagine, dude. That would be like, look at this guy. Just unbelievable. That's a lot of water.
There's something hanging.
Something hanging off the building?
Yeah, up right at the pool.
Yeah.
It's flapping.
I don't know. It's wild stuff, man. I couldn't believe some of that footage. And it's like, could you imagine hanging there on the side of that building and getting hit with that water coming off the top of the building? I think I'd be taking a different career path.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about
don't think I could get back up there.
Watching those construction workers that had just built.
Oh man,
probably been building that skyscraper for 4 years.
Oh yeah, every day.
Their life's work
just go up in dust, man. But yeah, I mean, I'd be taking a different career. I know that. Speaking of apocalyptic, events, did you watch the Joplin tornado Netflix special?
I have not.
You got to watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I was pretty disappointed, I'll just tell you, in I don't know, just the way that they did it. They focused, it seemed like to me, on all the wrong things. There was a few of the stories that were good, but there was some wokeness in there. Like they made a gay guy one of the main characters and kind of talked about, like, him being bullied and all this stuff that, it's like the kind of thing that you would typically see from a Netflix show, right? But they didn't really focus on, like, the first responders, all the people, the cleanup efforts, all the things that went into that. So I was a little bit disappointed about that. But
there's not a lot of good feels don't always sell like they used to. So,
and I thought they had good footage, but they just focused on the wrong things, and the wokeness was totally unnecessary. They kind of make Joplin, like the people of Joplin, out to be like this seedy, a bunch of tweakers, because one of the main stories throughout the entire documentary was like this group of kind of tweaker drug people that got caught up in it. And they focus so much time on that, and it's like this is not a good representation of what
Not how
Southwest
I
Missouri
remembered
and
it.
Joplin is like at all, But I don't know, why focus on all the people that were up to no good, the few people that were up to no good, and all the the ones that went above and beyond, they didn't. So I don't know. You have to watch it and tell me what you think, but
I've been
it was-
avoiding woke media for so long. I don't know.
yeah, I know. It's
Did you make it to the premiere of Snow White?
I did not. I did not. I've been hearing things and
Don't-
seeing things on X for
Don't
sure.
feel too bad. Nobody else did.
Yeah, it seems as though they're saying that it's kind of the nail in the coffin, I think, for Disney.
I hope it's just they get back to making s- good family entertainment
Right.
again.
That the majority of people can watch and appreciate.
Yeah.
Last night I was watching an old Disney movie, Herbie the Love Bug. Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking, they just don't make movies like this anymore.
The original
The original 70s.
70s,
Yeah.
early 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
They redid that one in the late
Yeah,
90s,
I
early
remember
2000s.
that. Lindsay Lohan, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't carry the same weight.
Yeah, I would I would agree with that.
I was never a Lohan fan.
Right.
Ever.
And she just kind of fell off the face of the earth. I don't even know what she's
There's some conspiracies around that.
really doing now. Really?
Well, her, Britney Spears, there was all of the who's the one that really went nuts?
Britney Spears.
No, she did. But it was a girl off of it'll come to me later. I'm bad with names, but they all just had public meltdowns and stuff, and they were all ran by the same either the
Like
same
agent
management
or
management or manager or had the same agent group.
Wow.
And yeah.
There's also, isn't there a conspiracy too that like a bunch of them were on the Mickey Mouse Club
Yes. All of
that
those
have all
kids
struggled with things,
really
drugs
had
and
problems. Yeah.
everything else.
It's like the different strokes.
Crazy. So next up, President Trump announces a new tax policy, Tim, on motor vehicles. Have you seen this? This
in the United States. And one thing that I
something.
just spoke with John Thune about, I just spoke to Mike Johnson about, Speaker. We're going to do something that has never been done in this country before. I'm very proud to say it was my idea. And so sometimes a simple idea, they say, how'd you think of that one? It's so simple, it was never done. If you buy a car in the United States that's made in the United States, if it's manufactured here, when you borrow money, if you borrow money, you have interest payments, we're going to let you deduct the interest payment for income tax reasons. And
Wow.
I think that's going to more than pay for itself. I think people are going to be, they've never had a deduction. Deductions are supposed to be for like rich people, and it's unfair to have that. But rich people are, I think I know more about deductions than any human being on earth. But, the truth is that people that are middle-income people that buy a car and actually have to borrow money, they're going to now get an interest deduction on their car if it's made in the United States. If it's made someplace else, that won't take place. But
Nice.
So there you go. This tax policy, it was proposed March the 28th, allows Americans to deduct interest payments on auto loans for U.S.-made cars, aiming to boost, obviously, domestic manufacturing, right? This proposal aligns with Trump's recent 25% tariff on imported autos that he announced March the 27th, which, obviously could raise vehicle prices on average, according to many who are looking at that with the economics that are involved. But I think what he's doing here is trying to offset some of the tariff stuff, but yet still incentivize people to manufacture in the United States. Of course, it's had mixed reactions. Some
Of course.
praising the support for American automakers, but others criticizing it for increasing car prices or complicating the tax code or whatever else. But what do you think about that?
I like it. I like it a lot. I think they're going to be a lot of manufacturers are already moving in. I think it was Hyundai. Is building I think it was a $5 billion plant here to avoid tariffs. So,
Yeah.
if if everybody moves forward with that, it's going to be more jobs, more. I don't know. I think it's a net positive for sure.
I think in the end it will be. And, I think that's a great idea when it comes to the tax policy here that's proposed on making that those interest payments tax deductible. I think it does not only incentivize people to come here to manufacture, but I think it's a pretty good incentive on people to purchase newer vehicles as well. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. The USAID was used for CIA operations. I'm going to play this video, and then we're going to talk about it. This is Mike Benz on Joe Rogan. Just listen to what he says about this.
Just CIA, World Book Burma. You'll see we keep meticulous tabs on the racial distribution, the religious distribution, the gender distribution, the heteronormative versus LGBT one. This is why USAID and NED were backing and supporting Pussy Riot in Russia, to do these, sort of insane, sort of feminist LGBTQ styled left-wing street riots. And this is what they, caused this international incident. You can see all the USAID and NED stuff on them for Pussy Riot is the music industry.
So what he's talking about here, he's a former U.S. State Department official, right, Mike Benz. And what he's talking about here on Joe Rogan's show is how that the CIA allegedly used USAID funds to fund these LGBTQ-styled left-wing street riots in Russia, suggesting that similar tactics may be applied domestically here in the United States to push the same type of political agendas. So you look at USAID with a $50 billion budget that they had before Doge got a hold of them anyway, has a history of covert operations like creating Cuban Twitter in 2014 to incite protests against the Cuban government, highlighting its role in advancing U.S. foreign policy through social movements. The claim Mike Benz's claim ties into broader conspiracy theories about the LGBTQ agenda, which have gained traction among a lot of U.S. conservatives, actually, as seen in the 2020s anti-LGBTQ movement. You had people that were accusing the community of grooming kids and a lot of that stuff going on. But why is it that when you look at all this CIA operation stuff that goes on and how that it's funded, it seems like they're always at the middle of it, no matter what, whether it's the JFK files or whether it's, all these, you look at the protests that have happened since 2020, and it's hard not to believe that it's not a very orchestrated and highly organized and highly funded operations. And even what's happening right now with the Doge riots and all that going on, and attacking Tesla dealerships and attacking Tesla owners. To me, I think he's on track with his thinking that it could very well be funded by the CIA, at least in the past. I don't think it's going to be under the Trump administration. But if they're willing to do it in Russia, I think they're willing to do it here, depending on what they're trying to accomplish with those purposes.
So I listened to that episode. He's the one that talks about how involved in the music industry and film industry the CIA has been, and since the 60s, when the hippie movement. Like he was the one talking about like some of those bands. Their parents both worked for the CIA. Like I think it might have been the Doors. He named off a few, and so it seems like pretty much in Berlin Wall, like Springsteen, he goes down all of the into the weeds a little bit, and just talking about where they're more than likely the CIA was involved. And when you see how much bad stuff they've had their fingers in the name of, you know, foreign policy and all that stuff, it's like, if there was one group I could get rid of, you know, and Chuck Schumer said it, you know, said it best. I wanted to get the quote since
Chuck Schumer said it best.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He says, let me tell you, you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday to get you.
Yes, they sure do.
Old Chuck said it best.
Was that a recent quote or an older one? Wow. Yeah. Well, I think Chuck's
more or
right
less
about
he
that.
was warning Trump against.
Yeah, he's trying to say
meddling.
he's trying to say now that the CIA is totally controlled by this administration.
Yeah, this has been about 3 months ago.
Yeah,
I think it was right before Trump won. It's like, you mess with the FBI, CIA, they got 6 ways from Sunday to get you.
Yeah. Next up, another manufactured hate crime akin to the Jussie Smollett fiasco. A woman by the name of LaTarsha Brown, a 42-year-old employee of Allentown City Hall and a member of the Allentown School Board in Pennsylvania, reported finding a noose on her desk January the 10th in 2025 here. And the incident was initially treated as a potential hate crime, sparking, of course, the outrage and the protests outside City Hall and the involvement from the FBI and all the things that happen anytime a hate crime is allegedly happened.
She got Jessied.
So Brown claimed that she discovered the news when she arrived at work, prompting this criminal investigation by the Allentown Police Department. So the investigation takes place, but it takes a turn when Brown, unlike her colleagues, began to resist when they were asking for providing a DNA sample. And then she even later requested that the probe be completely discontinued after they started asking if she would give her DNA. So after obtaining a court-ordered DNA sample, the forensic analysis by the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab revealed that only Brown's DNA was present on both the outer surface and the inner knot on the noose, with no other matches that were found. So this evidence then, of course, led authorities to conclude that Brown had staged the incident herself. Whoops.
I guess technically she was, that's Watson, not
right,
not Smollett or
Smollett.
Jessied.
Jussied.
Yeah, Bubba Watson already.
Yeah, Bubba Watson. I
Already
forgot
did that
about that one. The
news
NASCAR deal. He was another one, right?
Did you remember how that one panned out?
I can't remember the end result of that one.
So the noose was the rope you pull the garage door down with.
Oh, I see. That's so convenient.
But he was driving the Black Lives Matter car that week.
Yeah.
So his spidey senses were up.
It seemed like it was definitely something that just lent itself to the circumstances, and he thought was going to really
someone tied
help him out.
Tied that knot into a noose shape. You know, not for easy grabability,
right?
But to hate.
Yeah, according to those allegations. So how this turns out is actually, I mean, apparently she never thought that DNA evidence could be, introduced into the investigation, I guess. But she was charged with 2 misdemeanors, tampering with or fabricating the physical evidence and making false reports to law enforcement. And so her actions drew comparisons, of course, to the other high-profile hate crime hoaxes like that of Jussie Smollett. So despite the charges, though, she still remains employed by the city as of the latest updates, with the preliminary court hearing scheduled for April the 22nd, 2025. I wish they would have made it April 1st.
Yeah.
That would have been too good.
Have you seen the one where Charlie Turning Point guy,
Charlie Kirk?
Charlie Kirk, is at the campus, and a guy comes out and says, does a hoax,
Oh.
And he said he was, he's clearly a not straight.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that guys came by threatening to rape him.
Oh.
White guys in MAGA hats.
This was at one of the
At a
campuses
campus.
where he was
Yeah.
speaking? Okay.
And so Charlie Kirk says, well, did you press charges? And he said, no. He said, would you like to? He said, we should. He said, I will go to the head of the FBI and have him personally look into
reach
this
out and
reach out
investigate.
and personally assign
Let me
agents
guess.
to this.
He didn't want any of that.
He didn't want any of that.
No.
He wasn't,
They can make some wild claims. I've heard things in committee hearings before where I'm like, I know for sure this is not happening.
That didn't happen, you ogre.
But yeah. But why in the world is this woman still employed? I just can't imagine keeping someone on knowing that the investigation turned out the way that it did. It's obvious that she faked this. So maybe they're just waiting for the court case to be completely played out.
They don't want to get sued for a hate crime. So
right.
'cause
in response.
Yeah, when people get to that point where they're that hungry for attention and that they're going to, create a very disgusting thing. And once they get there, I mean, what will they not do?
Exactly.
They're looking for something that they'll do very nefarious things to get, and that's attention.
There would be no end to it. And so to me, like, this woman should never be paid or ever trusted again to be paid by our taxpayer dollars for any of those positions. So next up, a notable incident unfolded involving a leak of signal text messages from senior Trump administration officials. Did you read about this week, Tim? Initially reported by The Atlantic, which, if anybody knows, is an uber left-leaning news outlet, if you want to even call it news. Jeffrey Goldberg is the magazine's editor-in-chief for The Atlantic, and he was inadvertently added to a Signal group chat titled The Houthi PC Small Group by National Security Advisor Michael Waltz. And so this chat included high-ranking officials like Vice President J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and they were discussing U.S. military plans for strikes against the Houthi militants in Yemen. So on March the 24th, The Atlantic published Goldberg's account, suggesting that sensitive operational details, such as the timing of F-18 launches and strike sequences, were shared in the chat before the March 15th attack. So the initial reporting of this framed it as a significant national security breach, sparking all kinds of outrage among lawmakers and security experts, which, if it was legitimately a national security breach, then there should be serious outrage about it and, getting to the bottom of this, investigating this, and seeing why in the world that would have happened. That's the way they initially reported on it.
That's how far I made it.
That's how far you made it.
So I've been a little bit incensed about this. It's like, first of all people to include in the group chat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, throw any American loving. It would be like if I was in on that chat, I'd feel like, I had just gotten front row seats to a
Right.
Cowboys Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But, and for that guy, it really did kind of incense me. So I'm anxious to hear
Yeah.
the
The
full
whole story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the initial reporting, made it out to be this huge, breaking scandal, basically,
Mhm.
among these ranking officers and even the vice president being involved. Democrats, I think Senator Mark Warner and Representative Hakeem Jeffries, they called it reckless. Some Republicans, were saying this is a huge screw up. Yes, it is. But the story gained traction due to the apparent casual handling of these military plans on an unclassified commercial app with Signal, raising concerns about potential violations of laws like the Espionage Act. But the Trump administration quickly pushed back. Officials, including Pete Hegseth himself, J.D. Vance, President Trump, denied that classified or war plans were shared at all, with Hegseth insisting that he was merely providing real-time updates in this group chat.
They knew the guy was in the chat?
No, I think that
Okay.
was a mistake, and they have said as much, that it was a mistake, that he was added for whatever reason, and I'm not even sure who was responsible for that, which, is still something that I think
Troubling.
is
Yeah.
irresponsible, right? To whoever made that decision, however that happened, that needs to be fixed and never happen
I'm
again.
pretty sure it was Walls.
But Tim Walls.
Sorry, Waltz?
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure it was Waltz
Okay. So
that added him.
yeah, so that would have been the security advisor, national security advisor, right?
Yeah.
So,
Which
whether it was on
bad
purpose or
luck.
whether it was
Yeah.
not, we don't know, and we may never know. But the point is, the media did completely blow this out of proportion as to what was shared. So the focus went immediately off of the fact that there was a mistake made, that this person was added, which is the real story, should have been the real
Yeah.
story. And I think they would have fessed up to that and said, look, yes, this was wrong. It shouldn't have happened, whatever. But they blew it out of proportion, trying to make it look like that they were sharing all this top secret information on the Signal app.
And there's a reason that they waited 3 or 5 days, whatever it was, to actually release the
rest of
screenshots
the rest of the
of
information.
what was shared.
Yeah. So, they were talking about how when they did share the rest of those text messages, then the White House and the National Security Council echoed what Trump had said. J.D. Vance had said that they were authentic, but they contain no classified material, framing them as policy discussions rather than war plans. And so on March the 26th, the Atlantic released even more messages showing Hegseth detailing specific timings, prompting further debate, about the sensitivity of that. But the administration, national intelligence, I think even Tulsi Gabbard spoke about this, she is now the director of national intelligence, and the CIA director, Ratcliffe, testified before Congress even that no classified information was compromised. So I take that as being the case and to be what is the truth. I mean, if you're going to testify before Congress, that's a pretty serious thing to do, and I don't think they're going to be making things up.
You're going to be under some extreme scrutiny.
Yeah, well, you're under oath as well.
Also.
So the operation's success, though, I think indicated that no harm was done, that it was just a mistake that was made, and it wasn't as serious as what the Atlantic made it out to be, which is not surprising. The thing that was interesting to me, too, was how that the White House accused the Atlantic of sensationalism.
I don't think that was I think that was a spot-on accusation, because
I do.
I don't know, why would you to take advantage of that? Like I said, any any freedom loving, red blooded American would, I feel like if they had put that in the hands of any other reporter, like a reporter that was just a reporter,
Right.
seeking fair, balance, truth,
Would have just said, "Hey, I don't belong in here."
yes,
Right.
I think that would have been best case. Worst case, they would have been like, this was an incredible thing to watch unfold, and to be given that opportunity, it's like,
Just kept it to yourself.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would have definitely set in for the whole thing, but I would not have been outing them, for a simple mistake that was a success. But
Yeah, and I mean there were some Republicans too that and others that were still demanding investigations, but the consensus kind of emerged that the incident was a mistake, and that it stemmed from human error, adding Goldberg into the chat rather than a deliberate or catastrophic breach of national security. The Signal Foundation also clarified that it was a user error. Not that it was an app vulnerability or anything. And so, in summary, I think what began as this bombshell report of a national security lapse evolved, and as more information came out and people brought out the truth with that it was really just sloppy coordination, media exaggeration, and human error that wasn't to that level of seriousness as what was reported.
and I do hope in the future that they don't use Signal, to do that kind of business.
Yeah, which I mean, Signal is one of the most
it's an encrypted
secure apps that's encrypted both directions. And obviously that's probably the reason why that they're using it. But still, I think that it's problematic. Somebody also brought out how that there's some pretty high profile liberal people that are on the Signal board. I guess it's the board or foundation or whatever it is as well. So not the best idea.
No.
But we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back, everybody.
That was another thing that Judd was really harping on this week. made to slide off into 3 pieces, because just pushing down on it,
Mm-hmm.
the tension you'd get out of the strings, tighten it right back up.
Huh.
You literally can see that gap. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it's fine.
Look at that.
You know that was
Japanese
hand cut
joinery
with a
right there.
Japanese, what do they call those saws? The floppy saws? Man, if the person that shipped this had known, they could have just collapsed the neck down into 4 pieces or 3 pieces. It's a real treasure. So, like, I should read the.
I don't remember which one this is here. I think it's that one. Okay.
I'm going to thread the 2 strings that are still.
All right, let's come back in and we'll have fun with it. Tim, what are you working on over there?
Just trying to reassemble the man cave shamasan.
Let's see it.
It's gonna need some love,
Look at that.
but definitely has a lot of potential.
Show that up to the camera there. Look at that. This is a fine piece of Japanese artwork right here. Look at that. A real shamasan for the man cave. Can you believe this?
Straight from Japan. It's an antique too.
Look at that thing. Show how that neck comes
I was
apart.
Yeah, I gotta.
It's unreal.
The joint,
The joinery.
the joinery. Oh, there
Look at
it
that.
is. Check this out.
What in the world?
I don't.
Probably handmade,
Yeah, there's no.
without
question.
a doubt.
Oh, it has a little Japanese letter.
Make sure they got their pieces right.
Yeah, I don't think you could maybe it's you can snap this in down low and have you a shorty. That's
Little
how
travel shamasan.
That's how you travel with the shamasan.
I don't understand why they didn't take that apart when they shipped it.
Well, so it came over, or it got shipped to Canada.
Okay.
I'm wondering if they didn't know
Hmm.
that they could take it apart. It was from an antique dealer.
That's crazy.
So it was quite an adventure.
I'd say. So Tim's going to get that thing fixed right up.
Yeah, I got the leather coming on Monday. Gonna learn to be a Japanese shamisen
And I've got to learn how to play
luthier,
the thing.
and then you got to learn to play it. Once again, twice as easy as a guitar.
So great. 3 strings, man.
3 strings.
Can't be that hard, right? But it probably is.
3 to 1, quarter a dozen to the other.
Yeah.
Hopefully you have one of those. You remember when they used to give you a ice pick or an ice scraper
Mm-hmm.
for your car with a, like A1 auto service on it
Yeah.
or something?
Nice little.
Hopefully you have one of those laying around ready to start jamming.
Yes.
Got some
If not, we will find one.
fresh strings coming in.
It's going to be fun.
I can't wait.
Without a doubt. So we're back from the break, as you can tell. We've got the new shamasan in the man cave. We're pretty excited about it. But next up, Doge just keeps on rolling, and they found in one of the most recent investigations here, $330 million in SBA loans during the COVID years to children under 11 years old.
Now help me with SBA.
That's the Small Business Association loans.
These were literal small businessmen. Small businessmen and women.
Yes. The youngest of those being a 9-month-old baby who received $100,000. So the question then is, who was actually cashing these checks and getting this money? This is how easy it was to scam the government during COVID, people. A 9-month-old baby could do it.
I knew it was easy, and that was one of the, there's a gross part in all of us.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I was, at the time, I had a close, kind of one of those dirtbaggy people that was much closer to me now than, but he took and got one of those loans for $157,000.
Wow.
Never missed his company never missed a day of work. Went and got 100. He ended up doing it 3 times. I had disassociated by the second.
Say it isn't so, too.
You know what he did with his money?
Bought a boat.
It was way worse.
Worse. Okay.
He put
the casino.
100,000. Yes, different casino. He put $100,000 in the stock market. Lost it all.
Oh,
and then he took the other 57,000 to buy cocaine.
Well, that's definitely worse. Wow, that's
that was the
we wonder why we needed Doge to go through this stuff in the federal government. That's how easy it was to not only waste our tax dollars, but on things like cocaine in that instance. So again, the question is, who's actually getting this money? Here's what Elon had to say about this. I love his hat. He says, he's got a hat on that says, Trump was right about everything. Listen to this.
Well, a clear case of fraud was with the Small Business Administration, where they were handing out loans, $330 million worth of loans to people under the age of 11. I think the youngest, Kelly, was a 9-month-old who got a $100,000 loan.
9-month-old.
That's a very precocious baby we're talking about here.
Boss baby.
That's it. Yeah, it probably was Boss Baby.
We've seen, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud go unprosecuted, so we're taking that on. We have a zero tolerance policy for fraud, and we continue to crack down on it and make sure people are held accountable.
It's amazing. And you have a lot of that. We found far too much of it. It's a pure fraud. We like to use the words waste and abuse because they sort of sound good, but many of these things are pure fraud. Now, there was a contract that you've heard about where Stacey Abrams got $2 billion just before we took over, and it was a...
Yeah, that was another
a clear case of fraud.
Crazy deal with Stacey Abrams. But just $330 million to children under 11, give or take.
But pretty much if you had a business, did not matter what it was. I knew a lot of people.
Obviously you didn't even have to have a business.
No, but if you had a business, we're talking about all in, if you had like 4 employees, you had the capability to draw like $400,000 over the 3 phases.
And many of those you didn't have to pay back.
No,
as well.
No. As long as you kept those employees, you didn't have to pay them back. And in some cases, it was more than payroll for the entire time but it was given to companies who never missed a day of work, actually saw an uptick sometimes in their profitability and stuff. And I know that's not nationwide. I'm just saying more than you would ever care to know.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you've got 330 million that were under the age of 11, you can only imagine what the actual fraud was.
Because that wasn't it like $1.2 trillion that went to
I don't know. We don't
small
have Joel
business
here
relief?
to.
That's what I'm going with.
You can look it up, but
it was trillions
trillions
upon trillions.
Yeah.
Hundreds of trillions of dollars.
So next up, a cruise ship entered pirate territory, Tim,
Houthis?
and lived to tell about it. Here's the not the be story. I got to show this picture up on the screen here for just a second.
Did you see the name? The name of the boat?
The Queen Anne.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was one of the ships that Johnny Depp sailed on.
So you can see this is a not to be article, and that's what it looks like on the front page of it. But this is hilarious. It says passengers warned as cruise ship enters pirate-prone waters. Ahoy, matey. There will be pirates in these waters. At least that's what passengers aboard a luxury cruise were told when their ship entered dangerous waters on its maiden voyage. Passengers on board a Cunard Cruise Line ship received an ominous warning last week as the luxury ocean liner navigated pirate-prone waters in Southeast Asia during its 111-night maiden world voyage. Wow. That's quite a maiden voyage. The unexpected announcement alerted travelers aboard the Queen Anne. Oh, it was called the Queen Anne.
Yeah.
That was the real name.
That was the name on the...
That heightened security measures would be implemented as the 1,060-foot-long vessel crossed the Sulu and Celebes seas, a passageway with a long history of piracy and maritime crime, according to footage shared on TikTok. Well, I mean, that could be anything. That could be as solid as Tim's.
Could you imagine turning to starboard bow and readying the cannons on a cruise?
Right. Listen
that
to
would cost extra.
The cruise tickets for this reportedly started at $16,000 and some change per person,
which is a total bargain for 122 nights of room, board, and food.
That's true. You could almost
just
live
for
there
that?
cheaper.
I couldn't.
No.
Have you seen the couple?
This is quite an idea, actually.
True
Tim.
story. No, it's already going on. There are people who, instead of going to retirement homes, just cruise, and take because it's cheaper than, and like if they're not to assisted living point, that's what they do until they burn through their retirement because it's one of the cheapest ways to live. So they bargain shop cruises and book them back to back to back. They go into port, get on another boat. And it's cheaper. They figured because they were planning on retiring to Florida.
That's crazy.
And they did the math and they were like, it's less than half price. We have room service, going down the list.
Wow.
We get to eat as much food as we want. We're seeing the world.
It's all inclusive. But you'd be 500 pounds.
You just don't go to the buffet.
You just use some
eat at Guy's Burger Bar once a week.
Yeah.
Not twice a day.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being the resident
math.
Expert on the boat as a passenger?
Yeah. And they had said that they had thought about taking a position.
Mm-hmm.
I'd learn to play the piano and be the the guy in the foyer just tickling the ivories
for your retirement.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Mama's making breakfast pancakes.
Says they were en route to the Philippines when the passengers were notified of this heightened danger. Here's what the captain said. This area is known for piracy threats. Captain Inger Klein said in her startling announcement, therefore, we will be operating at a heightened level of security alertness during this period. The Eternal Promenade deck will be closed on both sides from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. overnight between the night of the 14th and 15th of March, and no guests will be allowed access during these times for the duration of the transit. I would like to emphasize that the safety and security of the ship, all guests, and crew on board is my highest priority. I assure you that that measures to prevent any unlikely incident have been well planned, and the likelihood of this happening on a big ship like Queen Anne is absolutely minimal. Wonder what that percentage would be.
I'm definitely
What is that
gonna
minimal percentage?
Bring my slingshot on a world tour.
That's
just
a
in
long
case.
way from non-existent, right?
Nunchucks and a slingshot, just in case. But
The chances are minimal, folks,
Listen-
that we'll be
listen to this.
overtaken by pirates today.
it would be unsettling. But in their defense, for $16,000 divided by 122 days,
And you get a pirate fight thrown in. That's a pretty good deal.
then $76 a night.
Can't beat it.
That's unlimited
Room,
food,
board,
room, board.
maybe even the drink package.
If you're a frequent cruiser, probably. And so think about this. Have you looked at hotel prices for the
They're insane.
Super 7 in Joplin? It's out on the sign, $65 a night. And they don't even serve breakfast.
That's at the Crackhead Hotel.
The Crackhead Hotel on Rangeline. So think about it. Pirates are kind of to be expected at $76 a night
Right.
if you're getting gourmet food, all you can eat. They have ice cream machines that you can just go and lay your head under.
They should just have, like, the cruise line should just have, like, its own little,
Retirement cruises.
well, no, but, like, its own little package ready to give to the pirates. You know, like, like here you go.
A complimentary bottle with the like. I bought a few novelty items from the gift shop on my cruise.
Of
I've only been
course.
on one.
It wasn't really my forte.
You could get a water bottle that was shaped like the smokestack /
Okay.
wing, which I'm not sure
Okay.
why
Yeah,
a cruise needs a wing.
yeah.
Is it downforce?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That thing up
Carnival has them on all
Mhm.
their ships.
Yeah.
So they had a BPA laden plastic bottle
top for sure.
that I still have the microplastics floating in my system from that.
Yes, you do.
And just like, but thinking about that, it's like you couldn't stay in downtown Detroit crack hotel for
No.
$76 a night.
No.
Pirates are kind of come with the territory.
Yeah.
You don't have
To be
gang
expected.
violence, but you might have a pirate.
Yeah, just, have some guns mounted on there and a little gift package, a little care package. You could
Give them a
give to 'em.
complimentary BPA laden bottle,
Yeah.
some arsenic in it,
right.
and free pass to Guy's Burger Bar.
There you go. On your next cruise.
Yeah, the pirate package.
Hootie Pirates. The Hootie
and,
package.
and eye patches. Complimentary eye patches in your gift bag
Arr.
and bubbles
Yes. Perfect.
and chocolate doubloons. The
Yes.
gold foil wrapped chocolate doubloons, a chest of them.
Oh, that'd be
Like,
so great.
Here's your booty. Wrong
Take
type
that,
of pirates.
pirates.
Yeah.
Take that. That's great. Next up, we've talked briefly about the JFK files. And although some very interesting new information is being digested, and we've talked about some of that, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna from Florida had an interesting take here regarding some information on the JFK files. Listen to what she said on that.
NBC actually has a video that's never been seen before. We're actually going to be sending a letter requesting that from NBC because it allegedly shows Oswald near the vehicle when the assassination took place, which means that he couldn't have been the shooter. So again, we're tracking down all this information. But look, there's even a CIA document that came out that Mr. Morley pointed out that actually said that the CIA never bought the lone gunman theory. And so I think the American people had an inclination as to what we were saying, but we never had the hard evidence until now. And so it's important to note that in a free and fair society, how could you operate or have an agency operating in the shadows? And so kudos to President Trump, also Director Radcliffe and Tulsi Gabbard for pushing for this transparency. It is going to be generational changing that they've done this, and we hope to bring forward legislation to ensure that this never happens again for future generations to come.
You're saying NBC has been keeping this tape of Oswald under wraps?
Correct. In fact, Director Stone actually told us that he was showed this tape, that it was a secondary copy, and that he said that this could blow open the entire JFK investigation. What I will also tell you, though, Jesse, is he said that NBC has been very, very much so guarding this tape. And so I believe that that tape belongs to the American people. We are going to be sending a letter asking for that tape. And I would encourage everyone ask NBC to release that tape to the public. It's important, not just for our investigations, but so the American people know the truth as to what happened with John F. Kennedy.
So, that's some crazy stuff. So Congresswoman Luna is a member of the House Oversight Committee and is claiming here that NBC has a tape showing Lee Harvey Oswald near the JFK motorcade during the 1963 assassination. So that would contradict big time the official narrative that Oswald was in the Texas school book depository as the lone gunman, right? So the Warren Commission's 1964 report concluded Oswald acted alone in assassinating JFK, a finding supported by multiple investigations, supposedly, but widely disputed still yet, with polls especially showing most Americans, even at that time, believe in a conspiracy. And probably, that'd be interesting to see. I wonder if the polls have gotten stronger on the conspiracies for JFK than they were back then. Since then, that's a good question.
They have to.
I would think it's very, very likely.
If she keeps pressing on this, she's just going to be. The CIA will do what they always do and just make her out to be a lunatic.
Yes,
a fringe lunatic.
Yeah, so Luna's allegations here aligns, though, with ongoing debates over JFK's death, fueled by recent releases of assassination records and skepticism from figures even like Robert F. Kennedy. And some of the Warren Commission members, as noted in a 1992 Assassination Records Review Board report. So even some of the original Warren Commission members differ from what that original report says. Interesting. So that would definitely be a bombshell if this is true. But again, how did they get it? How did they get that tape? And why wasn't it released along with everything else that was released?
CNN archived it, didn't it say?
NBC it said.
Or NBC.
So. Yeah, I think it said NBC. So
that was footage from that day that the news organization had, I believe.
Okay, I see. But the news organization
that's what I was
control
hearing.
of.
Yeah, and so they had archived it. And that was a secondary copy that somebody was like, hey, we got to get this. This is kind of a big deal.
Wow. Yeah.
I believe that's what I heard. Joel's not here.
That would make sense. Because again, it's like, how did you get it? But if it was originally
it wasn't in with
shot by the news company, then they would own that footage. That would make sense.
Which the news company was also
right.
CIA funded propaganda machine.
Very likely. Right.
Get my hat. Get my hat.
We do have to get us some tin hats. So we'll see what happens with that, and if that tape actually does make its way to the surface, because that would change everything, obviously.
Have you ever tried sleeping with a tinfoil hat on?
No.
I'm thinking about trying
Only
it.
on the weekends.
Just because. Only because the Wi-Fi, it's way too inconvenient to unplug it every night.
Mm-hmm. Sure
And,
is. That would keep it out.
Well, there's definitely
Theories.
some theories
Mm-hmm.
that it could help.
Right. Well, next up, a North Carolina man, not to be confused with a Florida man, Tim, has come up with an innovative solution to his bear problem. This is a Not to Be article, and I got to show this on the screen here. So it says, man wears bear suit to scare off actual bears from his yard.
Now we know what Smokey the Bear
This guy
was actually doing.
It says sometimes problems lead to genius examples of intelligence that provide solutions. Other times, problems can be solved by doing the exact opposite of anything remotely intelligent. The latter was on full display in North Carolina as a man decided the best way to get rid of a black bear lingering in his yard was to put on a black bear costume
Brown
and
bear.
dance around it. Yeah, it does look like a brown bear. So here's some video footage. Look at this. This guy, he just walks out there. And there's a bear right in his yard.
How long till he runs upon the wrong bear and gets it?
Well, the good thing is black bears are not really
Yeah.
aggressive.
Pretty good.
What's this? Here's another one. He's got bears in his yard all the time, apparently. I guess it is a real problem.
It was enough to go on Amazon. What's the stop sign for? He tried that first. Apparently the stop sign don't work, babe. I gotta order me a suit. He about tripped. It'd be bad if you tripped and your head came off.
Is that great or what?
Pretty rich.
Oh, man. I love it.
Good stuff.
Next up, the Trump administration freshly reinstated after a decisive election victory, America. They have set their sights on a long-standing target, Planned Parenthood. Word began quickly to spread this week through the newsrooms and activist circles alike that President Donald Trump was preparing to freeze millions of dollars in federal family planning grants, a move that would hit the nation's largest abortion provider the hardest, of course. It began with whispers from the Department of Health and Human Services. Insiders leaked to reporters that the Wall Street Journal that the administration planned to halt approximately $120 million in Title X funding. Planned Parenthood, which is the biggest receptor of this money with over 300 participating clinics, stood to lose a significant chunk of its federal funds. The freeze, expected to be formalized within days, was framed as part of a broader push to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives across the federal contractors, which was a directive Trump had signed into law on his first day back in office. Meanwhile, anti-abortion advocates cheered the move. Kristen Hawkins, who I've met before, actually, president of Students for Life, stood before a rally of supporters, her voice ringing out, saying this: "Today is a historic moment. Defund Planned Parenthood. It's time to stop subsidizing the abortion industry." And of course, with that crowd, her words were met with fervent applause, though she later then clarified on social media that the freeze was just a start, $20 million. But the nearly $680 million in federal funds still flowed to the organization annually, although $20 million is a start. But across town, Alexis McGill Johnson, the CEO of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, faced a barrage of cameras as well. And here's what she had to say. The Trump-Vance-Musk administration, that just cracks me up, wants to shut us down by any means necessary. Yes, we do. They'll end access to birth control, cancer screenings, STI treatments, all to score political points. That's what Alexis McGill Johnson said. They always act like that's what drives me crazy about this. Like, they always act like women will lose their birth control or their cancer screenings, but those things are such a small percentage, and many of the clinics don't do any of those things, actually, of what Planned Parenthood actually does, which is mainly abortions. Taxpayers should not be subsidizing this, period. End of story. It should be illegal, in my opinion, anyway, to kill a living, breathing baby in the womb. But Planned Parenthood is out there doing it every day and using our tax dollars as well to subsidize that. By the way, Tim, we passed the Born Alive Protection Act this week in the Missouri legislature. Third read and passed out of the House.
I saw that.
Would you believe that 32 Democrats voted no to protect babies that might survive an awful abortion and be alive outside the womb, fighting for their life, and by voting no, voting that a doctor could then still terminate that baby's life outside the womb because
let's use the word murder.
It is murder.
Let's go ahead.
It is murder. I spoke on that bill. I just can't believe I called it Barbary, is what I called it. Like, it's barbarism and it's evil. It's sick to me. But they voted against it, but we passed it out of the House, and hopefully we can get that done this year. And, you know, they try to use the argument, we already have laws, and that this isn't happening, you know how they are. And it's like, well, Amendment 3 that passed in Missouri actually muddied the waters on these laws, and why shouldn't we clarify that a baby that does survive abortion should be protected as a life just like any of us should be? Next up, Disney. We talked about a little bit with Snow White. Is that a Disney? It is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We need to hear back from some of our listeners maybe that have ventured out to actually go and see it, or if there are any. If there's any of you out there, let us know.
He actually just called me a couple minutes ago, but I have a friend who is a huge, huge Disney like mega fan.
Oh,
goes to Disney World.
Wow,
4 times a year probably.
And they're an adult.
An adult,
okay.
Very one of my favorite people on earth. And so I talked to him about it, and him and his wife are both just they're just Disney World, like all
fanatics.
that you hear about Disney World. They embody the joys. He wants to be an Imagineer when he grows up.
Okay.
So, anyways,
right.
and
to each his own.
If you knew him, you would never know that. But I asked him an honest opinion on it because I know that, like, he's up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, we watched it, and he said, I didn't know. He's super, super conservative, too.
Yeah.
He said, I didn't know I was supposed to be offended.
Okay.
He said, I thought it was okay. I said, what would you give it on because it had a 2.8 rating out of 10 on that MBDC or whatever.
IMBD.
IMBD, yeah. And he said, I would have given it like a 4. And I was like, okay. So, and he's like, yeah. He said, like, he didn't even know there was outrage about it.
Wow.
And he was like, it wasn't great. And I was like, well, you know what the complaints are. And I started, like, telling him that, you know, I was like, it was a Hispanic actor, yada, yada. And he was like, yeah. He said, yeah, it could have been way better. He said, like every other Disney movie that's come out in the last 4 years.
Right.
So he was, but he was like being just not knowing I was supposed to be outraged. And I said, yeah, I think a lot of people went to hate watch that movie probably from just reading online. It's been hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Babylon B has had a good time with it.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has. And so in the them using CGI dwarves, like he was like, yeah, I had no idea that dwarves wanted to be in it. I was like, yeah.
Right. So that's what this story's about. Like, so Disney used CGI on the dwarves for Snow White because they, it's really because of wokeness, right? They didn't want to offend the actual dwarfs, apparently. Well, that backfired. It did not go so well. So we have a little protest here, Tim, from some who were offended, that were left out, who actually wanted to be cast in those roles.
Seems like nowadays you can protest about just about anything. Well, why don't I begin a protest about the fact that Disney decided to use CGI dwarves? Not even the real thing. We could have gotten hired. We could have gotten money for something, but no. They're so ashamed of the CGI dwarves. They don't even have it on the first flyer. Well, it's time to make a movement.
It's time to make a
now
movement.
You wash the dishes.
He's in the theater while they're watching it.
They took our gerbs. Hire real dwarves.
So great.
Priceless.
So yeah, definitely backfired.
I really do think that Disney has got to be, with just how this performed in the box office, they have their pocketbook starting to pinch their behinds.
Yeah.
Say, hey,
I think that's the real
something
story.
different.
That is the real story. And you see it happening. Like, so Bush this week, did you see that? Anheuser-Busch announced that they're no longer supporting the gay pride parade agenda in St. Louis. There's another big corporation this week that said they're doing the same thing. Pulling out of this. And I think it's, there are several reasons, but I think the number one is the bottom line, of course. And that they're beginning to realize that most people are not for that, and they're trying to pander to the 1%, and it's affecting the bottom line. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Next up, teens attack a mother with knives. Because why? She turned off the Wi-Fi, Tim. Just a tragic story here.
Well, 3 teenage girls are in custody tonight after police say they plan to kill their own mother. And they say that it's all because their mom turned off the Wi-Fi. It happened overnight on Barker's Crossing near Barker Cypress in northwest Harris County. That's where we find Fox 26's Jade Fleury on this disturbing story. Jade.
Well, fortunately, the Harris County Sheriff's Office says that the teen's mom was not seriously injured after her own daughters tried to stab her with knives. And we spoke with some nearby neighbors who tell us that disturbances happen frequently at the family home.
They're known for that in this neighborhood. There's always cops around that house.
A family dispute turned violent. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says a mother was assaulted by her own teenage daughters for turning off the Wi-Fi. Authorities allege the girls then plotted to kill her. The 3 teens, ages 14, 15, and 16 years old, accused of grabbing kitchen knives and chasing their mom throughout the house and into the street. A nearby neighbor says they were returning from the rodeo when they saw the family in the driveway. Moments later, the homeowner and her sister heard yelling.
When she got back from the gas station, she says that there was cops outside. They've always, been known as trouble in this neighborhood, and our neighbors tell us the same thing.
The mother was hit with a brick and the teen's grandmother knocked over while trying to intervene.
Teens 14, 15, and 16 supposedly assaulting their mother because she turned off the Wi-Fi. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's so crazy. I mean, it just tells how much unstable that family is, and it's very sad for them.
I think it tells more.
And those 3 teens were arrested and charged with aggravated.
Do you see the sign over there?
Yeah,
right next to her.
This area designated for kids under 12.
Assault of a deadly weapon. Reporting from Northwest Harris County, Jade Fleury, Fox 26 News.
Hey, have you seen the video of the kid kicking down? He was a basement dweller, and his mom turned the Wi-Fi off.
Living in his mom's basement.
Yeah, and he busted the door down and commenced to attacking her.
Good night, man.
She locked her son in the basement, and he broke the door down, and she videos the whole thing, and it's like,
good night.
Makes me want to turn off
the Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi.
Yes, it does.
Proactive Wi-Fi.
But I mean, like,
disconnect.
Obviously, if these teens are that out of control, the parents are definitely at fault as well, right? If you've got 3 daughters
that are too far,
willing to pull the knives on you because you turn the Wi-Fi off, you should have never let it on in the first place. And obviously, and bricks too. It's just crazy stuff. Like, I just can't imagine.
It's like the pitchforks and torches,
right?
Just a mob.
Yeah, the mob. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
But
the Wi-Fi lynch mob.
Next up, Jasmine Crockett in the news again this week. She's really becoming a frequent flyer here on the Man Cave Caucus podcast. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. And this week it's because she called Texas Governor Abbott, who happened to have a paralyzing injury in his younger years. I think it was actually a tree that fell on him, and he's paralyzed from the waist down. He's a paraplegic. She called him Governor Hot Wheels because he has to use a wheelchair to get around. And Not the Bee did a story on this. It says, lately, our politics has gotten a little below the belt. But this comment right here from sitting U.S. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett crosses a line I hadn't thought would be crossed, even in this political climate. Listen to this comment that Crockett has for this guy. Here she is when she's speaking at some event here.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes.
More inflammatory than I don't know.
Just ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous is what it is, in my opinion. And again, like if it was a Republican, Tim, I didn't hear a single thing in mainstream media actually about this. But if it would have been a Republican, I guarantee you there would have been news all over regarding that. But people are just out of control, whether it's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett or whether it's the next story in a confrontation because the leader of some satanic group gets arrested at the Kansas State Capitol. Watch this. This is crazy stuff. It's taken out by the security guard right there.
Dumped. I'm not resisting.
I am not resisting.
Yeah, you're not resisting because you're over. We get it. This is quite the altercation, man.
I thought that was just an Oakland fan.
Yes. Man. So they're escorting him out.
Surely they're escorting him to a cop car.
Uh-oh, what happened? Did he get away? Oh, you got people down there praying. So he's losing it again. What in the world? That's enough of that. Yeah. So Michael Stewart is the leader of the Satanic Grotto. Can you look that up? What is that? What is the Satanic Grotto? He was arrested for assaulting a Catholic protester during an attempted Black Mass ritual, which was aimed to mock Christian traditions ahead of Easter, apparently. The incident followed tensions sparked by the Satanic Grotto's plan to hold the ritual, prompting Governor Laura Kelly to ban indoor protests that day, although she allowed the event to proceed outside, drawing thousands of Catholic counter-protesters and law enforcement intervention. So the video that we saw there shows this chaotic scene in the Capitol Rotunda with Stewart, identifiable by his raised arm in that, being restrained by police while Catholic protesters...
This is in Kansas.
This is in Kansas. Yeah. Some holding religious items are visible in the background amidst the scuffle.
It says the Satanic Grotto is an organization for Satanists and allies who follow the left-hand path.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Their preamble says, we are dedicated to improving our community.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Through fellowship, religious expression, shared education, artistic projects, and social activism.
Of course.
The social activism part's the only part that I think actually
exists.
And probably the art, trying to get statues put at the State House, whatnot.
I mean, these people are just dangerous. They're mentally unstable. And I've dealt with some of the Satanists before and the atheists. And, I mean, some of the worst people I've ever had to deal with, aside from the LGBTQ activists, which are just as bad, if not worse, they are just crazy. And I think there was another video maybe another capital this week. I saw just a little blurb on where a similar incident happened. Maybe it was the same one, but the Satanists going after the Catholics, at these protests. And I don't even know what a Black Mass is. I guess that's just something where they try to mock Christian traditions, but you could imagine where people could get a little bit riled up over something like that, and that's sacrilegious,
Don't go to war against the Catholics.
Yeah.
It's not worked out in the past.
Well, and I tell people this too, like they put a lot of folks to shame when it comes to the church.
Yeah.
Because of their involvement and engagement in these things, where I think the church should probably be more involved in. Next up, the whereabouts of the Ark of the Covenant. Last week it was the Egyptian underground system of pillars. This week it's the Ark of the Covenant, Tim. We are definitely in some crazy times. What a time to be alive. So yeah, the whereabouts of the Ark of the Covenant may have been kept secret by who?
The CIA.
Oh, the CIA.
How doubt I know.
Since the 1980s. Why is it that the CIA is always involved in all the secrets? It's a great question, actually. So yeah, recent news about the CIA allegedly knowing the location of the Ark of the Covenant stems from a resurgence of interest in declassified documents from the 1980s, specifically tied to a CIA experiment under the title Project Sunstreak. I haven't really dug into what that project was yet, Tim, but it'd be interesting to see what all was involved with this Project Sunstreak. But the project explored the use of what they call remote viewing. I really did not, I was not aware of this kind of stuff until I began to read this story. Look up that. term, remote viewing. It's a technique where individuals purportedly use extrasensory perception to gather information about distant objects or locations.
So I believe there's a Netflix documentary out right now about this.
Really? So I wonder if this is just for
and it's
attention for their documentary.
Could be. They're doing studies on autistic kids.
Okay.
Who can more or less
like clairvoyant type
telepathically know what people are talking about. I don't know. I've heard some podcasts talking about it.
Yeah. So according to these documents that were declassified in 2000, the year 2000, but trending again as of late March 2025, a psychic identified as remote viewer number 32 described a target in a session dated December the 5th, 1988. Without prior knowledge of the target, the viewer depicted a gold-plated wooden chest resembling a coffin adorned with seraphim, which is the angelic figures, according to, if you look at the biblical account of the Ark of the Covenant, that matches that. The hidden underground in a dark, damp location in the Middle East, surrounded by Arabic-speaking individuals and a mosque-like structure. The document suggests that this description matches the Ark of the Covenant, a biblical artifact said to house the Ten Commandments that has been lost since the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem in 586 BC. That's the last time we...
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah. Except for Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Is that where that picture is from?
This one up on the screen?
Yeah, I think that's from Indiana Jones.
It could be. Let's see. Let's look at it.
Remote viewing is a purported paranormal ability to perceive information about a distant or hidden subject, often considered pseudoscience, and is generally regarded as a form of extrasensory perception. And that's what the documentary is about, is ESP.
Okay. So this viewer that was, what was it? Remote viewer number 32.
Which purportedly the CIA has remote viewers employed.
Currently.
It's like, yes, it's like the men who stare at goats.
Of course they do.
Type situation. So,
of course they
lines up with some things I've
probably highly paid. Probably highly paid as well.
Billion dollar, no doubt,
assets.
$10 billion earmark in the.
Oh my.
Who knows?
So, this viewer also claimed that the Ark was guarded by what they term in this document as entities capable of destroying unauthorized intruders with an unknown power, and that it could only be opened when the time is right by someone authorized. And there are accompanying sketches from the session depict the chest and its surroundings, adding a visual element to the claim as well. However, there are people who claim this is bogus, Tim. Imagine that. And there's a guy by the name of Joe McMoneagle.
Monocle?
Joe McMoneagle. The first remote viewer for the CIA has dismissed the session as bogus, arguing it was likely a training exercise rather than a serious intelligence operation. He insists that without physical evidence, like the Ark itself, such claims lack substantiation. So critics, including scholars and skeptics, highlight the absence of tangible artifacts or follow-up action by the CIA, suggesting that the vagueness of the location, which was simply the Middle East, and the experimental nature of remote viewing undermine its credibility. But I would think, I mean, has that been experimental since the 80s? Like they're still using that and they're still saying it's experimental?
Supposedly. That's from what I've heard on.
Wow.
But I've also heard about a egg.
Yes, you
a
have.
nuclear egg. Let me preface that will power your home.
I wish
a small
Joel was here.
Nuclear reactor.
I wish Joel was here for that one.
Man, I had felt like I covered myself 6 ways to Sunday before talking about the egg, and Joel still hammered me.
Man, he did. He got you quick too. Got you real quick.
He seemed way too happy to find out that was in fact. I hadn't. I mean, I wasn't trying to order one or anything.
Right.
I mean, it's like the Trumpy bear.
You made it sound good though.
It sounds good.
Well, yeah, it does. It would be great.
Figure it out.
It would be great. But
so
I don't think
I ordered my Tesla
the
coil.
very powerful electric companies would probably allow it.
Yeah, that's the only reason
Right.
we don't have it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So kind of like the pharmaceutical companies and why cancer has never been cured, right? Or any of the other things.
Have you seen all the stuff going around about ivermectin? And there's like
so Arkansas
like
just
10 of them.
Just made it over the counter.
Nice.
Yeah, in like the last week.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
But there's something that I've been watching a doctor on Reels where I get all my medical advice.
Got to be sound. Got to be sound advice.
He actually treats cancer through whatever anti-parasitic treatment. But if you just take ivermectin, it can just cause the parasites to move somewhere else. Or if you have other, like, they can move to your brain from your gut type thing. That's what he claims. So he throws a barrage of anti-parasitic medications, which are all super cheap, mostly used in animals. And supposedly he's having
good success
in cancer curing.
Wow.
So
that'd be great. He'll probably end up Jeffrey
not,
Epstein or something.
He's definitely
he's on the
should
list.
be ending all of his videos with "I am not suicidal," which Alex Jones has been. That's how he ends all of his videos now.
So yeah, no official CIA statement confirms that they know of the Ark's location, and the resurgence seems fueled by just public fascination rather than real new evidence. But those documents are pretty interesting for sure. Sounds like, exactly what they would tell us, right? If it were true, though.
Truly.
No official CIA statement has been made. Too much truth coming to surface here recently all at once.
It's uncanny. Like, I've still been extremely disenchanted with the Epstein situation.
Maybe it's going to happen.
I don't know. But
hasn't as of yet. Next up, Tim, this is probably my favorite story.
Florida man.
This is my favorite story. Scalpers in Miami, Florida, of course, are selling their DMV appointments for $250 a pop. So apparently the way it works down there is you have to make an appointment.
And we thought we had it bad.
It's kind of like Black Friday lines, right? People would sell their spots.
Yeah.
Or when the new Xbox came out, they sell their ticket in line for twice as much as what it would cost to buy one because people wanted it then. So, yeah, this is a Not the Bee article as well. It says Miami scalpers are selling DMV reservations for $250 a pop. And it says, if I can scroll down.
Have you seen what your ads are?
No. Ivermectin?
15% off.
No way. That's crazy, Tim.
Oh, you better change your settings.
Just talking about it.
Yeah, we were.
So it says, not sure if you're aware, but many DMVs around the country have taken to scheduling appointments to limit the long lines usually associated with the nightmare department.
Probably started with COVID and never ended.
Mm-hmm. The appointments are free to make online, but getting one isn't as easy as you'd think. I had to take my 15-year-old in for his permit, and the next available appointment was 2 months out.
Oh, my goodness.
But the free market has found a way to expedite that scheduling process. Using bots, a bunch of Miami scalpers managed to grab a whole lot of these free appointments at the DMV, and they're now selling their appointments for $250. And the act isn't even illegal, at least not yet. The Miami-Dade County commissioners have a law on the table to make it illegal, but right now, those scalped appointments are fair game. But I still wouldn't buy one if I were you, no matter how tempting it might be. Miami-Dade County tax collector Daryl Fernandez said in a release, "We know who they are and how they operate. We will not accept any appointment obtained through system abuse. Our office is committed to ensuring that all residents have fair and equal access to services without interference from those seeking to exploit the system."
To say fair, equal, I'll let them slide because it takes everyone 2 months of waiting. But I would no longer have a driver's license or a titled or like a registered vehicle. It'd be like, nah.
Yeah, how you gonna
I've
plan?
gone 3 years without tagging a vehicle just because it was too inconvenient to go sit there for an hour and a half.
Let alone for 3 months.
Yeah, no chance.
It's crazy. So, but this is hilarious to me. Like, this is the epitome of the free market, is it not? You know, a good study would be to find out how many companies or even total revenue is created by innovative means simply because of the inefficiency and the ineptitude of government.
2 months is insane.
Who knows what all has been created?
Yeah.
Because of the inefficiencies of government.
And so much of that stuff could be done online.
Yeah. Well, so in Missouri, we contract our DMV offices out to private companies, and they seem to work much better than when you actually have state government employees that run your license bureau offices. So ours are privatized. If you go to I think our DMV is the best there is in Neosho. Very seldom that you ever have to wait very long at all.
I've had a lot of bad experiences, but it wasn't necessarily the DMV's fault.
Yeah.
I remember going in 3 separate times thinking I was finally going to get my driver's license.
You didn't have all the documents.
Well, turns out I thought I was eligible to get it back, and I wasn't a couple of the times, even though I'd been told by the courts that I could. The paperwork didn't clear with the state, so I've left the DMV crying a couple times.
Yeah.
Scars.
Well, there's a lot more documents depending on what you're going for too. That can definitely
It was just
be
bad life choices that was keeping me from my license.
Definitely be needed. Last but not least, the British Prime Minister brags this week that sword control is coming to the UK, where they will soon ban ninja swords, Tim, because of the stabbing incidents that are on the rise there. I just can't. You can't make it up. You can't make it up.
What would be more effective? Banning ninja swords or legalizing guns to good law-abiding citizens?
Mm-hmm. I know. There's no end to the lunacy of this stuff.
They're just weighing their options and like definitely banning ninja swords.
Here's the Not the Bee article on this. It says, good news for any supervillains worried about radioactive turtles in the UK. What a great lead in. It says, confirmed ninja swords. This is Keir Starmer, the new prime minister, will be banned by this summer. When we promise action, we take it. And he's sharing a tweet that said, "Knife crimes is at an epidemic level and is ruining lives across Britain. As Prime Minister, I'll crack down on sales of these lethal weapons once and for all. And when I announce a ban, you'll get a ban."
Could you imagine, like, the meeting that led to that?
Right.
They've
Just
already banned
stupid.
guns, so, that's not a concern. They've had to have banned knives first, right? Or is this the assault weapon of knives?
This is the assault weapon of knives. This is the beginning.
So,
yeah.
Okay, they start with ninjas.
Right. But what about samurai swords?
Loophole.
I would love to see the definition of this.
What about broadswords?
I would love to see the definition. Yeah, what about
switchblades?
Long John Silver swords.
Yeah, pirate swords would definitely be a problem.
Right.
But it's like you start at banning the AR-15, I think, if you're trying to ban the scariest one. And apparently they pulled
Ninja.
No doubt they pulled. What sword would intimidate? What cutlery would intimidate you the most if someone was charging at you with it? And the poll came
They
back.
said ninja swords.
Ninja swords. And it was like, what was that Steve Harvey game show that they pop up and they do, the polls and you have to guess what the top 5 are. That's where they got their intel. And the number 1 was ninja swords. So they still have a lot of stuff to ban.
It's just unbelievable, man, when you think about it. Like, there's no end to this, right? Like, what about all the other things?
Nunchucks are coming. They're coming for your nunchucks. That's what the whoever's running against him is going to be. We're going to keep your rights. We're going to fight for your rights to ninja swords, nunchucks,
brass knuckles. Do you know brass knuckles are illegal in Missouri?
Yes.
We've tried to legalize them. Still haven't got it done. Not sure the last time I heard of any crime committed by brass knuckles, but
well, they're banned.
They're
It
scary.
works, Ben.
They're scary. Yeah, they're banned. It works. That's what they would say. Oh man, the UK.
They're a mess.
Bless their little hearts.
They are a mess.
Bless their little hearts. No, the real problem is they have had no borders, and they've let their country being taken over by people
extremists.
Who, are extremists, and who, again, are not fit for civilized society. That's what has happened. We're trying to fix that problem here right now, and it is a real problem. But there are some people around the world today who I don't think are fit to live in a civilized society. Anybody who goes around stabbing people or whatever it might be, hey, put them in the clink, but it's not the knife's fault, right? So that's it, folks. Anything to add to that, Tim?
Man, I don't know. I really don't have anything that I feel like you covered about everything.
All kinds of stuff.
Bees. Have you seen the article on honeybees?
Yeah. Is it propaganda, though? Is it another scare thing?
Think about it this way. If you wanted to wipe out the food supply,
bees is where it's at?
Bees is all you have to take care of.
It's probably China, then. They're attacking our bees.
Yeah. It's the fastest way to...
What are they saying is causing it?
That would tell the tale of whether it was propaganda.
Yeah.
If it was climate change.
If they're just like, in general, the bees are dying, and then they've probably got some government solution, right?
Well, I mean, how would you feel about it if it was pesticides,
that was causing the
bees? Do you think
bees?
it would be propaganda?
Could be.
Or, you know what I'm saying? It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a...
Well, that's a big issue right now.
I know. That's why, it's like...
China wants control of our food supply.
And I think that would be the easiest way. If you could kill the bees, you would have a desolate,
because of pollination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get nothing without pollination, and they're the best at it.
They are.
They're not moths.
They were designed to do that.
I believe moths can pollinate. There's all kinds of bugs that can, but bees are they do the lion's share of the work. Let's see what's killing the bees, and then we can call it.
Interesting stuff.
Bees are facing a multitude of threats, including pesticides, pesticide exposure, habitat loss, and climate change, and diseases. Well, they covered the two that we thought of and tacked on a couple more. So I don't know. It sounds a little propagandy.
How long have we had pesticides, Tim?
A hot minute.
Yeah. And the bees have been fine so far?
So far. But
so I think we could probably check that one off.
I think the one, if it's really going on, I believe it's probably, and this is, get the hat, probably Wi-Fi and 5G.
Okay.
Because they operate solely on resonant sound, pretty much. That's how they communicate.
Okay.
That's how they fly. Honeybee couldn't fly if they didn't have the perfect resonance of sound.
That's interesting.
Their wings aren't
so
big enough.
Sound pollution.
Could be sound pollution.
So we're down to that now.
Okay. I like that better than climate change.
Yeah.
Guess that's just the redneck in me.
Oh, good times, everybody. Listen, you know the drill. You can go over to YouTube. You can find us there now at Man Cave Caucus and our YouTube channel, and find our videos and shorts over there. Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, just about anywhere that you can, where you get your podcast. You can find us there. And wherever you find us, do us a favor. Go there and like us, subscribe to our channel, and then leave us a 5-star review. That really helps to promote the show, and it helps us to move up in the ranks of those ratings. And then I'm going to give you a challenge this week. If you're out there, listen to this. If you could just do this for us, it would be huge for the Man Cave Caucus podcast, and that is the challenge of share the show with 5 of your friends this coming week. Simple, really simple. Just tell 5 people about the Man Cave Caucus podcast.
Do me a solid.
Yeah.
Just share it.
And if you'll do that, hey, we'll continue to grow as we are and produce this wonderful content for our listeners out there. With that, everybody,
God bless.
God bless, and we will catch you next week. Tim's got the Shamasan over there. Look at that. That thing is just cool. It's just cool. Get that thing up in the camera so you can see it. Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. Oh, I dropped a peg.
Oh, you lost a peg already. Look at that thing.
It's a little worse for the wear, but
somebody was rocking.
It was well loved. You see that? I'd say fretwear, but fret not is the policy of Shamasan makers.
That's right.
But it's a beautiful instrument.
Quite a craftsmanship.
See that? The joinery.
That's right.
Can't wait till you're plinking out a little of that music. Get this bad boy tight as a drum.
That's right.
I had saw there were Shamasan strings on Amazon.
Yeah.
Earliest delivery is May 25th.
Wow.
They're coming
High
from
demand,
Japan.
huh? Only place to get them is Japan.
The writing's in Japanese.
Wow.
They're not prime. $30 delivery.
Wow.
They're silk. This came up under Shamisen strings. Wrong Shamisen. I wonder how similar nylon